Hello, friends. It is Radaz once more. I, I want to make an update. I want to thank you all guys for giving me 22 subscribers. I don't want to be overly ambitious, but aiming for those three digits, that'll be quite a landmark. So I hope it happens. Now, what I'm going to talk about is how to win an election. This is, of course, going to be focused on the United States and the recent developments we have seen from both parties. Now, how do you win an election? Well, of course, with the most votes. But how do you get those? That's the important part. Um, to make it simpler, I'd say there are two ways in which you can get the most votes. You change your politics so more people like them, or you convert more people to your side. Now, about the first thing I just said, the first option, which is you change your politics. This is what the GOP has been doing for a very, very long time. They're desperate to sound like the moderates, the reasonable people. This is a problem because the opposite party, the Democrats, they won't give an inch. They move further and further to the left. And so when you meet them in the middle, you keep going left. There's no other choice because the left or the liberals will not go right. So they only expect the GOP to move, and they do. And they think this is a victory. This is why they've been losing so hard for so many times. So even when they win, they lose because they have adopted a position that was nowhere near in sight in the beginning. They are completely out of touch with their base. This is the greatest problem of the Republican Party. They're out of touch with their own voters. Huge problem for a political party and one that might be little. Now, the other option is to make more people vote for you. This is the DNC's approach. Now, inside this item, there are several other items. How do you convince people, so to speak? Well, the first, of course, as I just said, is convince people. You don't vote for me because you don't understand my platform. Okay, here is how I'm gonna. Here are my politics. Here's how they are gonna make your life better. That's convincing, which is of course not what the DNC does at all. They they have no interest in it, so they instead use other methods, such as bullying. Try speaking badly about Black Lives Matter and see what happens to you. You will get fired. Try saying something against the LGBT community. You'll get fired. Try saying something pro Christianity. You get fired. So in the end, you don't speak. You don't speak against them. You either enable them or you join them. Those are your only options. And of course, when people don't hear any opposition to the ideas, they only hear those ideas. That's how they convince them, through bullying. It works, what can I say? Now, other options is to make more of your voters. What do I mean by this? You have to know your audience, so to speak. And the Democrats know theirs very well. Who votes for us? That's what they ask themselves. They realized some time ago that married women tend to vote Republican. This is a reality, a statistical reality. So instead of trying to appeal to families, Democrats decided that they were going to destroy families. How they accomplish this is through feminism, through pornography, and pornography has broken more marriages than you can imagine. And feminism teaches women that a husband is oppressive, so they are less likely to end up married and therefore voting against them. They give welfare to single mothers, so they're creating an incentive for women to be single and to have children. These children without a father usually also tend to support the Democrats, so they are more than happy with this. And finally, another way to get more voters is to bring voters. What do I mean with this? The United States is famous because it takes a lot of immigration. It has suffered an immigration that on a scale that has never been seen before. Democrats are very well of this, very aware, I'm sorry, of this, and so are Republicans. But what Democrats understand is voting patterns. I'm gonna tell you an approximate of the numbers of voting, okay? By by race, I'm gonna do this. First, the black community. It's no secret that blacks tend to vote for the Democrats. This is not a secret at all. How much? 90. 90%. That's a huge number, unbelievable number. And it rarely changes, it rarely moves. I know that the Democrats are the party of the KKK and Jim Crow and who oppose the civil rights. Yes, all of this is true, but in the end, it doesn't matter. They vote 90% Democrats. Jews, 90% Democrat. Now, some say that the left supports Muslims, which tend to be quite anti Semitic. Same as with blacks. You just have to accept that's the way they vote. Asians, they tend to vote 80% for the Democrats, another huge number. Latinos or Hispanics, they tend to vote 70% Democrat. And immigration has been mostly from Hispanics, mostly from Mexico actually. So this immigration has been a huge relief to Democrats. But once I'm done mentioning these statistics, you ask yourself, how the hell does the GOP win anything then? It's because I didn't mention white people. White people tend to vote more Republican, but it's very evenly divided. It's not a lot of difference. It's about 55% in favor of Republicans. This, of course, is very relevant when you have a super white majority, but that is no longer the case. White people are disappearing, and any higher number that they might have is because of older people. The more people being born aren't white. The younger generations are less white than the older ones. The GOP, of course, should focus on this because their voters are disappearing, but they are, as I have said, too cowardly to do this. They instead try to appeal. You have seen the Republicans go for the Latino vote, for the black vote, all with disastrous results. Now, you can say this is the future and they should just prepare for it. But the Democrats have made it clear that demographic control is an acceptable strategy when it comes to winning. So, what should the GOP do? Well, they should start by deporting all illegal aliens, by ending the anchor baby scam used mostly by Chinese and by Mexicans who, again, vote Democratic. I'm just being Machiavellical here. I'm trying to explain how they should win. Because honestly, the Democrats have gone insane. So, as awful as the GOP is, we need them to win. Yet they refuse to take any action that will help in this project. So, we've got to ask ourselves, does the GOP actually want to win? That's the question for today. Now, please like, share, subscribe, follow me on social media. Information about that is down below, and I'll be seeing you.